look, they're going 4 wide, to 5 wide, but they're side by side. Connor is sideways, absolutely sideways for the last few corners. Oh, but he's up in the gravel, and he spins. Rob has made a bit of a dive, it actually hits teammate Craig. And so, they've all got stuck in the gravel. And Joe gets the switch back, that's fantastic racing, look at that. Contact, but it's Robbins racing. Joe McCall takes his first ever win just ahead of Connor. A fantastic race. He's going to take 6th. Or is it? Oh, he just gets him. And is Darren going to take it? No, he doesn't. Mark Nichol takes the race. Josh is the Independence champion for Season 3. Craig Kellett is your Season 3 winner and champion. Hello and welcome to the KTTC Online Touring Car Championship. My name is Tom and as always I'll be your commentator. I'll also be joined by Josh as a guest commentator for the event. You join us here for round 2 of Group A at the Suzuka circuit in Japan, which is a 3.6 mile figure of 8 circuit known for its crossover point. There'll be 8 laps for each of the races, so let's have a look to see who has entered into this round at Suzuka. It's a full 16 car grid here with all the teams present as both the 2 Mikes return after not racing at round 1 in Monza. Also we see a brand new teammate for Alex McCready in Speedy Motorsport much earlier in the day than we expected. So welcome to Daniel Stewart, who will be bringing out his Lexus from race 1. So let's have a look and see how the points look as we go into this round. Darren Parker took the early lead then for the season with 49 points, just ahead of Gary Black on 47, who had a very strong showing for the first time in the VW Scirocco. Mark was in 3rd and Craig and Tom 4th and 5th, with Stephen in 6th. In the teams, Team Redeem took the early lead with 4 points ahead of KTTC after a strong showing for them. Elliott Racing not too far behind with 59. HB, MCR Storm after only having 1 car were 5th. Team Snap-on in 6th. K&N only had 1 car as well, and Speedy Motorsports also, of course, Alex was racing on his own. In the Rookie Cup, Gary took the early lead, 57 points, only 3 points ahead of Luke, with Harry in 3rd, Rob in 4th, Alex 5th, Mike Comer, and obviously Dan didn't score after not racing in the first round. So what this means then for the tyre strategy in this particular season, it'll be just mediums and softs, and also the drivers will have to choose 1 race out of the 3 before the races commence to use those tyres. So Darren, Gary and Mark will also all be on the mediums, as Craig, Tom and Stephen will be on the soft tyres. So let's see how qualifying went and find out how the grid looks for our first race. Okay, here's your first grid for Suzuka round 2 for Group A then. Gary Black gets his 2nd ever pole position in the MCR Storm VW Scirocco next to Kieran Thomas in the KTTC Racing Renault Megane. Row 2 is Mike Comer for his debut event in the VW Scirocco of the 2nd MCR Storms, next to Mark Nichol in the K&N Fox Racing VW Scirocco. Row 3 is the 2 Team Redeem Motorsports Mazda Tenzas of Harry Cook and Darren Parker. Row 4 is Craig Kellett in the Ford Mustang for Elliott Racing next to Tom Foster in the KTTC Racing Ford Mustang. Row 5 is Mike Kuipers in his first event for this season in the K&N Fox Racing for VW Scirocco next to Rob Pellet in the 2nd of the Elliott Racing Ford Mustangs. Row 6 is the 2 HB Motorsports of Joe Burrows and Stephen Heath in their 2 Hyundai Genesis. Row 7 also the 2 Speedy Motorsports of Alex McCready and newcomer Daniel Stewart in the Lexus RCFs. And at the back row of the grid we've got the 2 Snap-ons for Joe McCall and Luke Knox. Okay, race 1 then for Suzuka. Gary Black is on pole position next to Kieran Thomas, and of course, as you can see, Mike Comer is behind Gary for the first time, and away they go. Front wheels bogged down, but Not a bad start, fairly even between Gary and Kieran. Everyone's away quite safely. Kieran's on the inside and they're side by side as they go around the first corner. Craig is behind with Harry as well, so quite close into the first corner. Kieran gets the job done.
Looks like the two front wheel drives got off the line really well, which is different to see. Usually in the last three we saw them struggle to get off the line. Yeah. And it was the front wheel, the all wheel drives getting the job done off the line.
So the two Speedy Motorsports, oh, that's someone already off.
Together.
Yeah, so Alex is already off. So it's a bit of a poor start for Speedy Motorsport getting together, literally on their debut event together. So we'll have another little quick look at the replay there, but Alex is pushed all the way back down to the back of the grid. So Kieran Thomas continues to lead. Gary is in second with Craig in third here, quite close behind in the Ford Mustang. Yeah, this is good for Kieran.
So the Gatling goes for it as well.
Yeah. Whoa! But he gets the wheel spin on the way out. Yeah.
Oh, that's close.
So that's going to allow Darren now to get close behind him, and Harry slots in behind him in fifth position, with Mark Nicol too close behind as well.
Got two Team Redeem Mazdas on the tail of him.
Yes.
Bit of pressure from the team there, and he's on the. Oh no! Oh. He's on the green slippy stuff.
Yeah, I've just seen Kieran and Gary get together as well, just ahead of him, just whilst he was watching that. So it's a little bit messy so far in the first lap. Everyone's just kind of tussling to get into position, and behind here it's really close. Down into this fast left-hand corner. It's not quite there for full throttle. You do have to lift off slightly. And also you've got that lovely green slippery stuff on the outside of there as well, into a tight chicane. Right then left, and then your sweeping corner down into the start finish straight. So Gary continues to lead.
Looks like Darren's overtaken Craig as well.
Yeah, so Darren is up to third now. Craig has dropped down to fourth. Harry is in fifth with Mike Comer close in second in sixth, sorry, behind. Some good close
Mike is
racing.
Just looking for that gap just to get past Harry in the S chicane. He's actually fallen off a little bit.
He's got Mike Nicol just really close behind him here as well. He's really pushing him, so he's not only just got to look right in front of him, he's got to look behind him. So this is quite big pressure for Mike here.
So it's debut race today, isn't it, as well?
It is. Unfortunately, he was unable to race at Monza. He had some horrendous internet issues, so it's good to see Mike finally get onto the track. And as I said, he showed some real pace in the practice, and he was practicing again, and he'd proven to be very, very quick in the qualified third. So he's dropped down to sixth, which is nothing too bad, but of course it's his first time racing with the pack. So, and as you can see, Mark has got up on in the inside of him, and he's got the crisscross here, and he's pushed him on the outside. So Mike is now dropped down to seventh, just behind Mark. That's not too bad, and Rob is behind. So Rob strong in eighth so far. Rob really struggled in practice, so hoping to get some decent results at least.
And we can see in front of us we've got Mark Nicol doing a little weaving.
Yes, of course.
Side to side, as usual, side to side.
Just seeing ahead that Craig and Darren are getting together. They're side by side as they go down to this long straight again.
By the looks of things, Gary Ranksman is running away with the lead ahead of Kieran, so this battle for second is helping Gary get away a little bit more, just like every little bit. But we've got a massive pack here for the podium positions.
So very similar to... Go on, carry on.
And it just looks like Craig is just struggling to get past Darren on the straight here.
It's almost very similar to Monza. It's, you know, they're saying that the Monza was split with the top 5. It's like the top 7, top 8 really are really close in this first race.
Yeah, we did see some like really big pack groups for the higher positions, which was good to see.
Let's go on board with Alex McCready then, as they all go into the first corner. Looks like Dan Stewart is lagging a fair bit. Alex loses it, gets sideways. A little bit of contact there. As you can see here, there's the lag with Dan, so it's a bit difficult for Alex to get past him. And then there's the push. Pushes Alex wide and then into the gravel. Tom down in 9th, so picking up a few places. As Joe Burrows is 10th with Luke Knox in 11th, and the Hyundais and both the Nissans, as the Lexus as well, all struggling, and they did in qualifying, and at the moment it's proving to be that maybe not the circuit for them. And
there's contact between Joe and Heafy.
So Joe goes off the circuit and gets back on in 14th, so really struggling. There's Alex in 15th and Daniel Stewart. Of course, Daniel is new to the series, new to the game, and also lagging a hell of a lot there. So
he's got Harry's lag from was it season 2, wasn't it?
Season 2 it was, yeah, indeed. So
was it Goodwood, wasn't it?
Yeah. So back in the lead then, Gary is continuing to drive on into a better lead as he is still running away with it. Kieran is pushing on, but not quite catching up with him yet. But Craig is pushing Kieran for second. Craig, obviously, we're used to seeing in the lead and doing not too bad in the Mustang here, but not where we're used to seeing him.
It's good to see different people winning and in the higher positions, and mixes it up a little bit. And it looks like Craig is
it's gone wide.
Yeah, just before he went on the green slippery stuff and recovered it, it's good to see different people on top. You know, it shows that other people can come out of the dark and prove themselves for the championship.
Indeed. So far so good. So there's been very little contact. Mike still behind Mark and fighting for 6th here, but he runs a little bit wide.
Mark is doing a really good job of defending his position, but he goes wide in the corner there, so it allows Mike to go a bit of a tussle there.
Little bit of contact.
Mike did well to save that instead of going into the gravel trap. That would have lost him a good few positions. Looks like Rob and Tom are catching the likes of Mark and Mike. And it looks like they're all over each other, really.
At the moment, it just seems to be that everyone's holding position, and they all said Suzuka's a fantastic track, lots of winding corners and sweeping corners, but the overtaking is quite limited.
Yeah, the overtaking is quite hard, really. You either want it on the start finish straight or the back straight going into the fast left-hander.
Yeah.
And that's the only really place, unless you can go for dives and you see gaps. It's the only place really you can overtake without causing any incidents, really. Looks like Tom might. Oh, he goes really wide there, but I thought he was going to go into the dirt there. It looks like Tom is going to look for a move on Rob. Late on the brakes, doesn't get it. Rob just keeps his position. Tom might try it again.
He could do. It's quite a natural, narrow track. Very similar to Brands Hatch, this, where there's lots of grass, lots of barriers, and the barriers are very close as well. So, and there's obviously when you get down to the S-bends fairly early on in the circuit, there's lots of gravel there as well. So it's so easy to get it wrong.
Rob.
He does get
Tom's got Rob. What an overtake! Wow.
So up to 8th now. Rob drops down to 9th, and but still early days as Mark and Mike still continue to battle it out here.
Battle of the M's.
Yes. Further up, Harry's in 5th, and Craig is now behind Darren. So Darren and Craig continuing to switch positions and fight for that podium position as Kieran has leapt ahead. He's actually catching up with Gary, and he's got ahead and is not under pressure from these two anymore. So these two are going to fight it out for 3rd as Kieran goes on to try and catch up with Gary. So
Kieran's turned on the send it mode. I say that he's gone into the grass, but he's going to have to pull something in the bag to catch Gary for the last 4 laps. So he may be able to do it. He's not that far in front, but he's just got to keep it clean, and hopefully we can have an interesting last lap battle for 1st. Would be good to see. Monza again. That's what we want.
This is just what Kieran needed, as Monza was disappointing for him. He had some pace, but he had a few offs and got tangled up a little bit, so I think he's determined to get some decent results to push him back up into the front running pack of the season. So
at the moment you've got 2 KTTC drivers in the 2nd and 7th, which are good for the points for teams. So hopefully if they can hold these positions, there'll be a good points haul for round 1.
Good also to notice that for the teams battle, both Team Redeem are really consistently up there at the moment, with Harry in 8th and Darren in 3rd. So they will score quite well, but more importantly, so will MCR Storm if Mike Comer continues on. He's in 6th with Gary in 1st. So, of course, Mike wasn't in the first race, so there's a few points to be catching up on there. But very interesting on the teams front. Not only that, if you was to look further down, currently, as I say, HB and Team Snap-on, both, all their cars are not even in the top 10, are they? So, struggling. So, Joe Burrows and Luke Knox continuing to fight here. And look at this, bumper to bumper.
So, Joe might look for the gap here. It's a good overtaking spot, this is. Just to weave through that gap and then hold it going into this right-hander. But it looks like Luke has just gone a bit wide. So Joe just kind of needs to keep him in the... Oh, he might be able to pull something off it. This is catching him, but...
So Heafy's on his own down in 13th. Alex and Joe McCall now fighting for 14th and 15th as... it looks like, just looking at it now actually, Daniel Stewart might have retired, because I don't think he's there, most probably due to his internet issues, which is a real shame. Obviously he was not really in for the fight too much. Yeah, that's pushed off Alex, and Alex has nearly lost it, so yeah, it's a little bit of interesting contact. Yeah,
so I think his teammate must have it's due to lag, which is not good to see, but
yeah,
a little bit of corner cutting there as well.
Yeah. So Gary still leading. Kieran is there, but he isn't close enough to really put on the pressure to Gary, as Craig and Darren now side by side as they go down the long sweeping straight, with Mark Nichols actually very close behind as well, with Mike and Tom also catching up. So this is going to be interesting for the podium position, and Mark makes a little bit of contact with Darren. Darren goes wide, comes back on, he's on the slippery stuff. Oh, just about in front of Mike. Really close there.
That was close. Darren was lucky not to hit anyone there. Wow. And so this 5-car pack.
Yeah.
For the 3rd position.
Harry's very close behind as well.
See. Yeah. 6-car pack. Sorry. For 3rd position. This is what we want, Tom. We love it. It's what we like to see.
Mike is pushing. He's on the inside of Darren and he gets it, but he's on the outside now, but he slots in behind. I think he's thinking about how he's going to overtake. This is really difficult around these S's.
Yeah, definitely. If you can overtake through these S's, props to you. You must be the next best thing, because it is so hard to get your way past how narrow they are. But it looks like Darren has also dropped off a bit into 5th.
Yeah.
And Mark is I say that.
Oh, contact. Yeah. So Mark is off, and Mark is in the gravel, and you can see what a difference that makes. And so he's now with Harry, and there's more contact, and Mark has lost it. His side tank slapping, and he hits the barrier. So Mark really loses out there. So I think
he's lost 5 positions there, which is not good.
He was fighting for the podium position with Craig, and there was just a bit of contact there, and as he's come away he's made more contact with Harry. Rob is now putting him under threat for 8th position. So Mark really, as you say, he's 5 points, 5 positions dropped there. There he goes again with his weaving. It's funny, it's so funny looking at it. I don't know why it's so obvious, and probably because it's the front wheel drive, but
yeah.
We'll have another little look at the replay with Mark, because there was multiple incidents there of a little bit of contact, which ended up pushing him really far down the pack. Let's go on board with Mark Nicol, as who's nearly pushed out by Craig. I think he's caught the grass. There it is. Yeah, he's caught the grass and into the gravel. So he's come back onto the circuit, and then to the right you won't see, but makes the contact there with Harry, and that's where he starts tank slapping. Let's go on board with Harry. As you'll see, Mark will go off into the gravel, and as he comes back on here, they get together, and then that's where the contact was. So we continue on then with this battle for third, as Gary is still leading with Kieran, but this pack here is very interesting.
Chicane. Wow, okay, they're side by side for the chicane. Craig.
Oh, they're three wide.
There's Darren Parker out of nowhere.
On the outside now, as they go down to the straight for the finish line here, and on to lap 8, so there's just 2 laps left.
It's Dragon Trail Seaside again, Tom.
It is.
3 cars going into turn 1.
So Darren prevails and gets the oh, but he doesn't. There's contact there with Mike. He pushes him out wide, so Craig gets up into 4th, Mike is in 3rd, and Darren goes down to 5th. Harry is up to 6th, with Mark in 7th, and Tom is still in 8th at the back of this pack here. So Tom must have made a mistake.
Looks like Rob's fallen off a little bit as well. He was in a K&N sandwich.
Yes.
But it looks like Mark has got his way back up to 7th, Tom in 8th. I think he's dropped a little bit.
So the 2 team redeems here, as you say, now have sandwiched Craig. And Craig is really having to battle it out to even just keep into the top 5.
Bumper to bumper now going into the hairpin.
Oh, more contact.
I think Craig looked for the gap on Darren, but I think he's got Darren at the corner. Mark pushes Harry a little bit wide.
So just in the back end of Rob there, so he's still within the pack, and if things are kicking off as they are, it could all end up in tears. Rob could make up some positions.
It would be good to see Rob make some positions, you know. Had a tough Monza, and a race 3 wasn't in his luck, so to say, but
so
he's looking for redemption.
Craig has been pushed down now, and
to 8th.
8th, yep. And that is the difference it makes when you just get out of position. There was a little bit of nudging, but he was pushed wide onto the green stuff. He had to slow down, and everyone else just bullies him into 8th, and the 2 Elite Racings now in 8th and 9th, which is not going to help in the points.
Not ideal for points, no.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lap to redeem themselves, and so has Team Redeem.
Yeah. So Kieran pushing on the final lap. He seems a bit closer. He's not quite still there to really make a dive, but could he just get that last fast lap in to see if he can push on for the win? But Gary is doing really well to hold himself.
Kieran's just trying to, send it as much as he can, get as close as possible, but he can't. Commentator's curse is on one today, Tom. I think we need to stop talking. Every time we say they're doing well, their back end ends up kicking out, and we can't let that happen. Don't want it to happen. But it looks like Kieran is just catching on Gary a little bit there. But it looks like Mark might have. Yeah, I think that was Mark that went sideways a little bit there.
So down into the 2 sharp right-handers, and that's Mark. He's in the gravel and he hits the wall, so the 2 K&N Fox Racings come together nearly, and Mark drops down to 8th. So there it is, more mistakes are happening with Mark, and he gets dropped out. Oh, big contact.
Craig gets the move on. Who was that?
Yeah, so Craig gets the move on Mark, and Mike makes contact with Tom. Just seeing further down, there's the fight still going on between Joe Burrows and Luke Knox. This must be going on race long. It's a shame we've not really seen much of them, but they're there. more contact, more contact.
A bit of swaying. So he might look for the undercut. No,
it's Joe.
He sends it. Oh, it is.
It's Joe. Yeah.
Sorry, it's Joe. Sorry.
That's right.
Joe might look for the undercut. They're similar looking cars.
They are. So
Is that Craig going wide as well?
Gary gets the win. Just managed to catch that. Then Kieran gets second, but into third. Darren has got overtaken Mike for third position. So Mike gets fourth, Harry gets fifth, Tom gets sixth, Mike seventh, Craig eighth, Mark is ninth, and Rob gets a fairly decent 10th, with Joe Burrows eventually getting 11th. Luke gets 12th. Heathy is going to come round with a really quiet 13th. I think Heathy will be pretty disappointed with that after showing some real pace at Monza towards the end. And then Joe McCall and Alex battle it out for the last few positions, but Joe gets 14th, Alex gets 15th, and of course Daniel retires. Kieran Thomas puts on a fantastic fight, but Gary Black keeps him behind to take another win for the season, just ahead of Darren Parker in third, with Mike Comer getting a really strong fourth for his debut event. Harry was fifth, Tom was sixth, Mike Kuipers was seventh on his first race of the season. Craig Kellett was eighth, Mark ninth, Rob was 10th, Joe Burrows 11th, Luke was 12th, with Stephen 13th ahead of Joe McCall, and Alex finished at the back. As unfortunately Daniel Stewart, he retired on his first ever debut event. What this means for the points then: Gary jumps into the lead with 68 points, 4 points ahead of Darren Parker now on 64. Third is Mark, with Craig still in fourth, and Tom in fifth, but Kieran jumps up to sixth with 44 points as Stephen and Luke get pushed down to 7th and 8th. Harry in 9th, all the way down to Dan Stewart at the bottom, are unchanged. In the teams, Team Redeem are still in the lead, 94 points, 3 points ahead of K-Tech, with MCR Storm now jumping up to third with 79 points after both cars score really well in the first race. Elliot is fourth, and K&N Fox Racing also jump up to fifth from 7th after scoring quite well there too. HB dropped down to 6th, Team Snap-on dropped down to 7th, and Speedy stay in 8th. In the Rookie Cup, Gary Black is now dominating with 77 points, with Luke in as the closest in second, 65. Harry on 58, with Rob not too far behind, 52 in fourth. Alex McCready on 45, as Mike Comer scores for the first time in the Rookie Cup on 17, and Daniel Stewart at the bottom at the moment with just 0 points.